everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. And it's Thursday night, and every other Thursday night I jump on and do a technique. And so I decided I was going to show you how to do the Retiform. I hope I'm saying that right, Retiform technique. So when I looked up what Retiform actually meant, it means a series of intercrossing lines or cross-connecting lines. I can't remember exactly, or a net. I saw that as a definition. And that actually perfectly makes sense when I show you what this card will eventually look like. It's a bit of work. You do masking with it, and so I'm using the amazing new masking paper that Stampin' Up has. It just makes it so much easier. And I'm going to use the Joyful Flurry bundle. Well, actually, mostly the stamp set. I'm using the label dies out of it, so I'll show you that. This is one of my favorite suites from the catalog that goes live tomorrow. Can you believe it? It's already July 1st, so happy early Canada Day. And yeah, catalog goes live tomorrow. I am so excited. All right, let me switch over and I will show you what I'm going to do. All right, so this is the Joyful Flurry bundle. So it's snowflakes, some really pretty snowflakes, some little dots for, I guess, snowfall, and then some really pretty sentiments. I love this. So in this one, Let It Snow is my favorite. And then the dies that come with it that go along with the bundle, of course, are snowflakes. Now these snowflakes, I'm not using them, but these 3 snowflakes actually cut out pieces that make it 3-dimensional. So you can actually pop parts of these up with your take your pick tool or your paper snips or a paper piercing tool. So they're kind of 3-dimensional snowflakes. And then of course you have the snowflakes that you can cut out, the stamped images, as well as these little ones that you can cut out. So this is a great set of dies. I'm just using this largest label. So, all right, now I dug through my stash and I wanted to show you, hey Deborah, hey Becky, welcome. I wanted to show you what a Retiform card looks like. Now this is an old card, and this was, I think it was called Soar Confidently. It was a celebration from a couple of years ago. But you can see I've got a bunch of intercrossing lines, and then between them you do some stamping. So this one, I really loved how this turned out in early espresso, cherry cobbler, and I think I used soft suede and probably crumb cake on it to get it. So we're going to do some sponging with blending brushes. We're going to use the masking paper. We're going to see how this goes. But the goal is to get all these lines, and then you're going to stamp in them. And as you've moused off, you're only going to get part of the image showing. And these sections that you're doing really can be as big or small as you want them to be. So I've cut a piece of basic white cardstock that is 4 inches by 5 1/4. I've also cut, bring in my pieces. I hope I've got enough. I've cut a bunch of masking paper. These are 1-inch strips. So 1 inch by 5 inches. So masking paper comes, there's 12 pieces that are 5 by 7, I believe. And there are 12 pieces in the package. So there's lots of pieces. One tip I will give you with the masking paper is you don't want to press it down. You don't want to kind of rub it in like you would if you were using adhesive and make sure it's pressed down solid. You want to kind of just have it loosely applied to your paper. Otherwise, it can tear the paper. If you're finding that it's sticking too much, you can take a piece and just, so this, it's got a little, it's got a split in it, so it's easy to pull apart. And the sticky side, of course, is the full strip. If you find it sticking too much, just take it and rub it on your sleeve or your pant leg, and it will just kind of take some of the stickiness out of it. I find I don't typically have to do that because I just don't press it down really heavily. Now, what you want to do with this is I'm going to start down here and I'm just going to apply it. Now, what colors am I going to be using? I'm going to be using Orchid Oasis and Balmy Blue, and I thought maybe Tahitian Tide. I thought those might be pretty. So I'm going to start with the Balmy Blue. And I've got my blending brushes, and yet I have still not actually cleaned my blending brushes. All right, so what I'm going to start with is, actually I'm going to put another piece on. So what I want to create first, I'll take this piece off. I'm going to create a bit of a, so you need a few of these. So I'm going to create a bit of a triangle here. So I'm going to focus on in this triangle, and I'm going to try and make them a little bit bigger than I did on the card that I showed you. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of Balmy Blue, and I really want to focus around the edge to create the line. And then if you want to, you can lightly sponge in the center. Now, what you also want to do is you want to do some stamping while you have those masks on. So I'm going to do my stamping of my snowflakes in the Orchid Oasis and Tahitian Tide. And so this is masked off. So we're just going to do some stamping and get that snowflake in there. So we'll then pull these pieces gently off. Again, don't press them down really hard because you will tear. It can tear if you just gently, gently, gently pull. And I find if I get it kind of flat, and now I'm tearing my masking paper, which I don't want to do. All right, let's pull them off separately. And when I get this piece off, you'll kind of see that I've got one line. There we go. There's one piece off. Okay, welcome. Yes, I'm doing well, thank you. And I'm not sure who it is from Connecticut, but welcome. Don't forget, if you're coming in through Facebook, don't forget to go in to streamyard.com/Facebook and give permission. And that way I will be able to see. I use a program called StreamYard so that I can stream to Facebook and YouTube all at the same time. And if you haven't given permission, I only see Facebook user. I don't actually see who's commenting, which is, all right, there we go. Gently pulling these pieces off. And now you can see, hopefully, you can see I've got a start of a triangle here with a stamped image. And so now I'm just going to take and I'm going to do the same thing. Now I want to cover off this triangle that I've just created. I think I'll just do those corners, like that corner. And again, I'm going to use the Balmy Blue, focusing on the lines because I really want that line to have a bit of a dark edge. And then I'm going to kind of do more blue on this one. You can put as much or little background as you want. Now let's do this one. I'm going to do this in Tahitian Tide. And because I've got this masked off, I'm just going to stamp my snowflake. We'll see how this looks. When you do Retiform, it's all a surprise until you actually get it done. So don't, Ginny, welcome from Alaska. My goodness, it's so much fun to have everybody here from all over. One thing I will say about this technique is don't give up on it. There's a few techniques like that. Retiform is one. Don't give up on it. You just kind of have to keep going until you have it finished. All right, so let's see. I'm going to go across like this. And again, I want making sure that I have these edges where I've already stamped and sponged covered off. And I'm going to tear this piece because I just need a little piece. Just need a little piece here. Actually, I think I'm okay with that. Let's just use this. Okay, let's create one that goes like this. I'm not sure that there's any right or wrong way to do this. I just find that I just start to do some sponging, and just kind of start creating some of these shapes. And you can, I don't know if you can see, I've got a bit of a triangle here, and I'm going to try and just blend that in. That's where I kind of, one part of the other triangle came down. So if I just do some blending. All right, and now let's see which, okay, I've got another one. So let's do this one. Stamp that. And then I've got a little tiny one, and I will do this one in Tahitian Tide like that. All right, and again, pull these off. Oops. I avoided this technique for the longest time. And then I decided one day that really it wasn't going to get the best of me. And so I played with it. And that soaring one card was the one that I created. All right, let's just kind of put it across like that. So we'll do a fairly large one here in the corner. But I do need to cover off this one. So you want to make sure, again, that you're not only covering off, you know, the section you want, but if you've already got a line done, you want to make sure that that is covered off as well. So, oopsie. I'm going to turn this. I want to make sure that edge is covered, edge is pressed down. There we go. And let's do, I'm just going to grab baby white. It's easier. Oops. One baby white, just to clean my stamps. All right, let's do maybe not that one, maybe this one. I'm trying to kind of not get the same snowflake in the same color side by side. I'm not sure if that's going to actually work out, but there we go. There we go. I did get the same color side by side, but I think it'll be okay. All right, it's coming together. All right, let's put a piece across like this. As I said, you can do these as big or small as you actually want to. On that other card that I showed you, those were pretty small shapes that I ended up doing. And I'm going to need some more. I need another piece. I'm sure I have a piece. There we go. I thought I cut some extra. All right, and we will just put that across like that. So you do need, if you're using Post-it notes, you'll need quite a few Post-it notes. I do find when I was doing it using Post-it notes, I just find that this masking paper is just so amazing. And you want to focus, like I said, on the edge so that you get that kind of line, and then you can fill in around it. And because you've got some masking paper here, start off the masking paper so that you don't get kind of that splodge, I call it, where you get a really dark piece or dark kind of spot of color. All right, I'm just trying to see. I'm going to use the Tahitian Tide. I haven't used this stamp set. I don't think. So let's use Tahitian Tide. No, I guess I have used it. I guess I cleaned it. Okay. All right, so let's take this one off. Again, this was brand new, so I'm just going to very gently take that one off. So you can do this with any stamp set. Sometimes if you've got stamp sets that have you know, all sorts of really different kind of eclectic images. It works really well. I almost did it with, I'll show it to you. I almost did it with this. This is Stylish Sketches. This is one of the celebration stamp sets. And I thought this would be really cute with the fox, the ducks, and this kind of acorn. I thought that would be really pretty. But I, in the end, changed my mind and decided to use the snowflakes. So you can do it with any kind of stamp set. All right, getting there. Okay, so let's put this across like this. And like that. And I got a little one here that I can just put across that edge. So this is going to be a little bit bigger piece, a little bit bigger corner. Again, start off the edge if you can. I'm going to turn this because I'm kind of going against the thing and it's lifting up my... As you use your masking paper, you can reuse it. As you can see, I'm reusing it. And so you can keep reusing it, but at some point in time, it will lose its stickiness. All right, let's do that same stamp in Orchid Oasis. Okay. And as you use it, again, its stickiness goes away, and so the chance of it tearing is reduced. But just be careful with it. All right, getting there. I'm thinking it's kind of pretty. All right, so let's put this across like that. And let's take this one that I haven't used. This one like that. And I'm just going to make this just a bit smaller. So let's do that. There we go. Just a couple of spots left. There we go. If you use a sponge dauber, you might find you get darker lines around the edges. You might find that you like using your sponge dauber more than you like using the blending brushes, and that's perfectly okay. Okay, let's clean this off. Whatever works. Okay, what color? Let's do Tahitian Tide. Like that. And I think I have maybe one spot left. And like that. And we got one spot over here left, so we will just cover up these spots that I've already done, the lines I've already created. There we go. And just blend that a little bit. This piece is actually a little bit bigger. Oops, I don't want to do that yet. A little bit bigger than I need, so I'm going to trim the edges off when I get finished. Now, what color did I just do that? I just did that. So let's do this one. No, I just did that one. Okay, we'll use this one. Actually, I know what I'm going to do. I've got this little tiny snowflake here. Let's do a bunch of the little tiny snowflakes in Orchid Oasis. Like that in the corner. All right. when you get it finished, let's pull all my pieces off. You may find, like this middle piece, I seem to have not, it's not, I got darker on my background as I went through. So that's really looking like it doesn't have any or much balmy blues blending in it. So you can always just kind of go over this once you're finished and add some more balmy blue just to kind of fill in if you've got some spaces, which I kind of do on the lines. You can kind of just go over it. Now, isn't that pretty? If I had done a darker color or used a sponge dauber, I would have had more distinct lines, but you can definitely see the lines that I have. Now there's one stamp left that I pulled out, and that's the one that looks like snow. And I thought what I would do is just take and put some snow dots all over my card once I had it all kind of finished. There we go. So it looks like it's snowing. Yeah, kind of different. See, that's a good word for it, different. Like I said, you have to do a little bit of thinking about where you want your lines, but it's kind of a really cool technique. All right, so let me bring in my other pieces here. I have got a piece of Orchid Oasis that is cut 4 1/4 by 11. Oopsie, just gonna grab my trimmer. And I'm going to score this at 5 1/2. Right. Now, I do want to trim this. So this is cut 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I'm going to put a balmy blue layer underneath. So I actually want this to be trimmed to be 3 3/4 by 5. So I'm just going to take an 1/8 of an inch off all round. That way, if there's any spots on the edges you're not really happy with because you got, you know, a little darker when you were using your blending brush, you can just take and kind of trim them off. And one more. If you're really happy with it, you don't have to. But I always, when I'm doing blending or sponging, I like to cut my paper bigger than what I want it to be in the end, just so that I can kind of, you know, trim. What am I trying to say? I can kind of manage the colors. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take and I'm going to pick up some, and I'm actually just going to sponge this edge a little bit with my blending brush. So I'm just kind of holding my paper and just kind of rubbing the blending brush over the edge just to make the edge a little darker all around. We used to do this a lot when I first started stamping to make it look kind of shabby chic or rustic. We did a lot of distressing. I don't do so much of that anymore, occasionally, but it's fun to make those kinds of cards. There we go. All right, so I'm just going to take and glue this on. I've got a piece of balmy blue that is 4 inches by 5 1/4, and so then this piece I cut to be 3 3/4 by 5. And then this is my card base. So I already scored this. So this is my score line. I'm going to fold into the mountain of the raised line and give it a good crease. This is Orchid Oasis. So it's going to be this way. And we will just adhere this. I wasn't thought maybe I hadn't grabbed a piece of basic white for the inside of the card. All right, so there we go. That's on. Now I went ahead and cut out 2 of these. This is the largest label from the Joy, what's it called? Frosted Flurry dies that goes with this bundle. And so what I'm going to do is I want to stamp this stamp that says it's the season of, what does it say? It's a season of magic and wonder. And I'm going to stamp that in Orchid Oasis. I need to put my labels on. So I'm just going to take and stamp that. Ooh, that's way up at the top, but that's okay. That's what happens when you don't put your labels on. Now I'm going to take this piece that I cut and I'm going to cut it in half lengthways. And this is a tip. I think I've done this before, so that you can actually put this top and bottom and it looks like you've got a mat behind it. So I'm just going to take and put a little bit of glue. And so we'll just take and put just about 1/8 of an inch showing on the top. And then we're going to do the same, oops, on the bottom. It's a good thing about using liquid glue is it gives you a little bit of wiggle room, but it's also the bad thing because things can shift. All right, there we go. So that just makes it look like you've got a mat around your sentiment. And then we will take and use dimensionals to put this on. Now, when I do this, I actually like to put my dimensionals over top of the seam behind. I also I kind of stagger them so that I don't get a sag in the middle of my my label. All right, so we will put that on there. Now I have a piece of basic white that is cut 4 inches by 5 1/4. I got some glue there, which is making my workspace very sticky. There's my silicone mat. I should have had my silicone mat down. So let's take and stamp. I'm going to stamp using Balmy Blue. And I'm just going to stamp a snowflake down here in the corner, just so the inside of the card is finished. And this can go on the inside. And then I grabbed some iridescent pearls. I just thought you got to have some bling on snowflakes. So I grabbed some iridescent pearls because I really love how they look. I've got a bunch of loose ones in here because I was cutting out for kits. So I've got quite a mess going with my iridescent pearls, but let's use some of these that oops, this one cut there. I got them. They're on my card. All right. There we go. All right, so I've got some iridescent pearls, and we will just put some of these, if I can get them off these little plastic bits. I'm just going to take and put some on the middle of my snowflakes. Just feels like the snowflakes should have the bling on them, but you could put them anywhere you want. And there's a big one. Usually I put 3, but I've got more snowflakes, so I might as well put them on all of the snowflakes. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. That's good. 5. I like odd numbers. All right. So that's the Retiform technique. So don't let it put you off. It is, I won't say that it's not hard. Let's say that. It's just a little bit of work and a little bit of thinking to figure out where you want the lines to go and what you want. And I mean, I really wish I had, probably a sponge dauber would have done a better job on getting the lines a little more obvious if that's what you want. I think if I show you this card that I did before, you can see the lines are a little bit more distinct on here. I think I use blending brushes there too, but maybe it's my color choice in that the balmy blue is quite light. But anyway, play away, play around with it. Check it out because it really is a fun technique and it's a pretty card to make. All right, there we go. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, just leave a comment. This will appear on my blog post coming up at some point in time, and so I'll put the written instructions and measurements and things when it does go live in my blog in the next couple of weeks, so that you can follow along. You can find the link to my blog under my video, and if you'd like to follow me on my blog, head out there and click the follow me button. You can also subscribe to my newsletter. And if you're coming in through YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you get notified when I do more videos or when I go live. I'd love to have you join me when I do these kind of crafting sessions. All right, I will be back on Saturday at 11 a.m. Have to think about that, 11 a.m. Pacific. I hope you'll join me. I know that's early for some of you. Or maybe it's still late at night in Australia. I'm not sure. But I hope you'll be able to join me on Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific and then Sunday at 12 noon Pacific. All right, everybody. If you are from Canada, happy Canada Day tomorrow, and I will see you on Saturday. Thanks, everybody. Happy stamping.